Do you feel like you have a mystery illness that no one can tell you what it is? You've Googled the symptoms, you've talked to your doctor, and you just don't know what it is? It could be MCAS. Let's get into it. So what is MCAS? MCAS stands for Mast Cell Activation Syndrome. And I'm going to read to you what mast cells are. This is kind of a newer one for me. I'm just starting to dive into this. So I have some notes here. I don't have it all memorized yet, but it's very interesting. So mast cells are a type of white blood cell. They are found in almost all human tissue. They are a part of our immune response. They are concentrated in hollow spaces, the nose, sinuses, lungs, your GI tract, your bladder. They are in all of our connective tissues as well. So our skin, joints, ligaments, nerve tissue, and brain. So they are literally everywhere. So MCAS is when those mast cells in all of those different areas are overly responsive. So it kind of feels like you're constantly having an allergic reaction to things. And depending on the severity of it, it could almost be anaphylactic. So there's definitely different levels of MCAS. So some of the symptoms would be itchy skin. That's definitely something that I had, which actually led me to dive into MCAS because I thought that it was just a histamine intolerance. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later, but what I'm talking about today is really just an introduction to MCAS. So anyways, itchy skin, hives, random sweating, watery eyes, constant running nose, swelling in your tongue, lips, or throat, trouble breathing, low blood pressure, rapid heartbeats. These are all some of the symptoms. And you can Google, if you Google MCAS symptoms, you'll kind of see it there too. Mast cells also, overly reactive mast cells also affect your digestive system. And with that is histamine. So histamine intolerance rather, is kind of like a symptom of MCAS. So it's just one of the things that could be causing your MCAS. So yeah, the difference is that mast cells secrete many mediators, not just histamine. So yeah, to reword that, it secretes histamine, but histamine intolerance is just all about histamine. Hopefully I'm making sense on that. So as I said, there's varying levels of MCAS. Some people have it to the degree where they would need, prescription or an EpiPen to have on them. Other people, milder cases, like I was diagnosed with a mild case of MCAS. For me, my symptoms were very sensitive to chemicals. So I could walk into like a Canadian Tire or a Walmart and literally have to turn around and walk back out because the smell in there would just drive my mast cells crazy. Like it would kind of agitate me. I didn't feel well. I'd get a headache if I was in there for too long. Again, environmental illness. This is, there's lots of different ways that you can kind of speak to this, but we could say environmental illness. So yeah, I was very sensitive to chemicals and still am, and I'm still working on that. So kind of putting a few of those symptoms together, my histamine intolerance is a big one that I'm still working on. And again, if you guys are interested in what I'm saying here, let me know. This is just an introduction to it, because I may do a video series on it, and my journey, of what I've gone through, what's worked for me, what hasn't worked for me. We're all different. So what works for me, may not work for you or may work for you. Anything else I want to touch on? Oh yeah, histamine intolerance too, which again is kind of a symptom, and usually a larger symptom of MCAS, could be genetic too. There's genetic SNPs, HMNT or HNMT. Anyways, that's a genetic SNP. So that's things in your body, your DAO. If you don't have that SNP and it's not working for you, that's something that you could take to, block the histamine. So, sometimes our bodies, we're all individual. We all have a different kind of genetic makeup. So we all need different things. To find out your SNPs for this or anything else that you may be concerned about, you can do a 23andMe. That's the one that I chose. But anyways, there are things in your body, so it's not just you necessarily, not doing enough for your body. There's things genetically that you might need to support as well. So underlying causes outside of the genetic factor, and obviously lifestyle comes into it too. You know, if you're, and again, going back to histamine intolerance, you know, if you're eating a lot of histamine-rich foods and you already had a few other things going on in your body that could have kind of tipped the scale and, you know, brought you into MCAS. But a few other underlying causes, you know, bacterial infections, viral infections, fungal infections, heavy metals, and again, we get into mold toxicity, which is a big one. And the more I've been reading on that, you know, it's funny because you think mold toxicity, where did I get that from? And I'm not just talking about candida, I'm talking about, you know, if, you know, you work in a hospital, and actually the prevalence of mold toxicity in most people is, I don't have the exact number right now, but the percentage is higher than you think, and it's because of older buildings. So if you're in water damaged buildings, you know, working in old hospitals, working in old schools, you know, and there's mold behind the walls and you're inhaling this absolutely affects your body. And again, I don't want to speak too much about that right now, but that could be another underlying cause as well. So MCAS, if you're interested, go ahead and Google it, and if you're interested in hearing more from me, then just leave me a couple of notes below, and maybe I'll do a series on it. Other than that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below so you don't miss out on any of our latest videos. All right, have a good one. Bye-bye.